Joe Biden left us with.
I'm not asking about Joe Biden. I'm asking you a specific question. If your department deports anyone with an ongoing asylum application, you are 3 days later, you reinstated that officer and you put him back on duty. I sent you a letter and asked you what investigation was done and why was he reinstated. As residents witnessed your officers pulling individuals out of their vehicles and chasing them down the street.
That moment, the back and forth over the legality of their own actions, hit differently. You could feel the tension radiating off the screen. This wasn't just a policy debate, it was a furious battle over the very rule of law, the deportation of people with open asylum cases, and a chilling lack of accountability for officers whose conduct was, by their own admission, unacceptable. What we're witnessing here is Rep. Dan Goldman putting Secretary Kristi Noem in a prosecutorial spotlight. He's not letting her pivot or deflect, forcing a confrontation on everything from unlawful deportations to the question of a secret police. We're breaking down every explosive exchange in this must-see hearing.
For 5 minutes.
Secretary Noem, let's talk about the law. Do you agree that asylum is a lawful pathway to immigrate to this country? Yes or no?
There's an asylum program, yes, in place.
All right. So immigrants then with ongoing asylum applications are legally in this country, correct?
Excuse me, I'm sorry. Your question was?
Immigrants with ongoing asylum applications are legally in this country.
There are individuals in this country that have applications that...
And they are legally here because it's a lawful pathway, right?
It's a lawful pathway.
Okay. So if your department then deports anyone with an ongoing asylum application, you are violating the law, correct?
Joe Biden left us with...
I'm not asking about Joe Biden. I'm asking you a specific question. If your department deports anyone with an ongoing asylum application, you are violating the law. Is that correct?
It was greatly violated when they allowed...
I'm asking you.
People to come
I'm asking you.
Asylum applications.
Why are you filibustering? Why can't you answer the question? It's a simple question.
Your president...
If your department deports anyone with an ongoing asylum application, you are violating the law. Isn't that correct?
The asylum program was broken under the last...
Mr. Chairman, I'll reclaim my time. She's not answering the question. But the obvious answer is that, yes, if you follow a lawful pathway, asylum is a lawful pathway. If you have an open asylum case, you are here lawfully. But the problem that we are seeing around the country...
The entire line of questioning, starting with the simplest legal premise, is asylum lawful, was designed to box her in. The Secretary's refusal to answer directly is the whole story here. Goldman makes the clear legal argument. If asylum is a lawful pathway, then people with open cases are legally present. If you deport them, you are breaking the law. The fact that she couldn't say yes or no to that fundamental question is a massive indictment of their policy, suggesting they know they're operating in a legal gray area, or worse.
And then they've been shipped off and many deported. In September, one applicant was ripped away from his wife and small children after such a court appearance. And then this happened to his wife. Please play the video. No, it's not. It's not this one. All right, it's not this video. Here it is.
Come on, man.
Now, after this incident, your department issued a statement that said the officer's conduct in this video is unacceptable and beneath the men and women of ICE. Our ICE law enforcement are held to the highest professional standards, and this officer is being relieved of current duties as we conduct a full investigation. 3 days later, you reinstated that officer and you put him back on duty. I sent you a letter and asked you what investigation was done and why was he reinstated. You did not answer that letter. So I'm going to give you an opportunity right here to explain to me that if that officer's conduct was, quote, beneath the men and women of ICE, unquote, why did you reinstate him?
Sir, that investigation was completed. I can give you that investigation and the information that you would like. This is
I wrote you 2 months ago. Why haven't you given it to me yet?
I'm actually surprised that you haven't.
This is a truly disturbing moment. The department themselves called the officer's conduct unacceptable. And yet, just 72 hours later, he's back on the job with no public explanation. Goldman wrote a letter 2 months ago demanding the investigation details and got nothing. The visual of the secretary being surprised he hasn't received it when he says thousands of his letters are ignored speaks volumes about the level of accountability, or lack thereof, within the department. It feels like a clear message is being sent. Misconduct will not only be tolerated, but quickly swept under the rug.
Surprised that you haven't gotten it. I'm going to ask my staff about that.
Well, you
because
shouldn't
I
be
have
surprised
responded
because generally
to
speaking, you
hundreds
do
and
not
hundreds, if
respond
not
to
thousands
us.
of your letters.
Now, the other problem that we are
Mayorkas, when he had
seeing
this
all
job,
over
didn't
the
respond to letters
country
for years.
is that your officers are wearing masks, are dressed in plain clothes, often going around without identification.
All of our officers are identified.
I'm not asking a question. I introduced the No Secret Police Act to stop this. And we now have 113 co-sponsors so that they will not be masked and that they will identify themselves. Now, you say all of them are identifying themselves. That is not the case because last month in New York City again, the NYPD officers were injured by your masked, plainclothes ICE officers after they were called from 911 as residents witnessed your officers pulling individuals out of their vehicles and chasing them down the street. I also asked you what happened there. How were the NYPD officers injured by your officers? And you didn't respond. What's the answer?
Sir, our individual
Gentlemen's
officers
time
are
is
identified.
time has expired.
What we just saw was a masterclass in political cross-examination and a deeply concerning look behind the curtain of a major federal agency. From the start, the Secretary refused to concede the basic legal premise that asylum seekers with pending cases are in the country lawfully, which is the foundational justification for all these mass deportations. She could not or would not answer what the law demands. But the real heartbreaker for me is the story of that officer's reinstatement. Think about the impact of that decision. An officer is filmed committing an act so egregious the department has to issue a public condemnation, calling it unacceptable, only to put him back on the street 3 days later. It strips away any pretense of professionalism and sends a terrifying signal to both the public and to every other ICE officer. You can violate the department's own standards and you will be protected. When a public servant can be accused of violating the law and then simply stonewall and filibuster without consequence, it makes you wonder, who is holding these departments accountable? Is the rule of law just a suggestion now? This hearing proves that the fight for accountability is far from over. Now, I want to hear your thoughts on this. Do you think Secretary Noem's repeated refusal to directly answer the question about asylum being a lawful pathway is an admission that her department is violating the law, or was she simply trying to avoid a political trap? Let me know in the comments below.